NHL Scramble, 2024-25 season simulation and offseason. In this episode of NHL Scramble, I simulate the 2024-25 season and make some major offseason moves. The changes made in the 2024 offseason will have a major effect on the 2024-25 season. In first place in the Atlantic Division are the Buffalo Sabres, followed by the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs. In first place in the Metropolitan Division are the Carolina Hurricanes, followed by the Pittsburgh Penguins and New Jersey Devils. The Philadelphia Flyers hold the first wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference, and the Detroit Red Wings hold the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. Missing the playoffs in the Eastern Conference are the Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals, Florida Panthers, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Columbus Blue Jackets. In first place in the Central Division are the Minnesota Wild, followed by the Colorado Avalanche and Nashville Predators. In first place in the Pacific Division are the Seattle Kraken, followed by the San Jose Sharks and LA Kings. The Winnipeg Jets hold the first wildcard spot in the Western Conference, and the Edmonton Oilers hold the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference. Missing the playoffs in the Western Conference are the St. Louis Blues, Vegas Golden Knights, Arizona Coyotes, Calgary Flames, Vancouver Canucks, Anaheim Ducks, Chicago Blackhawks, and Dallas Stars. The Seattle Kraken beat the Ottawa Senators in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup. Retirements: Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Zach Parise, Brett Burns, Alex Radulov, Paul Stastny, Alex Edler, Alex Goligoski, and Patrick Hornquist. Ottawa Senators buyout Jared Spurgeon, Seattle Kraken buyout Tyler Myers, and the Winnipeg Jets buyout Jack Johnson. For the balance of the league, every team has to give up one key player and make them eligible for the draft. The draft order is based on the standings from the 2024-25 season. 2025 Scramble Draft. New York Rangers draft Nikolai Ehlers, Arizona Coyotes draft Jacob Voracek, Calgary Flames draft Elias Lindholm, Dallas Stars draft Matthew Boldy, Chicago Blackhawks draft Jacob Verana, Tampa Bay Lightning draft Tyson Barrie, Anaheim Ducks draft Oscar Klefbom, Montreal Canadiens draft Noah Hanifin, Vancouver Canucks draft Brandon Saad, Columbus Blue Jackets draft Dylan Strome, New York Islanders draft TJ Oshie, Florida Panthers draft Justin Falk, Vegas Golden Knights draft James Malasesta, Washington Capitals draft Vincent Trocheck, Boston Bruins draft Darnell Nurse, St. Louis Blues draft Sami Vatanen, Detroit Red Wings draft Ty Forster, Philadelphia Flyers draft Philip Deneau, Edmonton Oilers draft Nino Niederreiter, Winnipeg Jets draft Philip Hronek, New Jersey Devils draft Alexander Romanov, Nashville Predators draft Nikita Gusev, LA Kings draft Evander Kane, Toronto Maple Leafs draft Owen Tippett, Pittsburgh Penguins draft Brendan Brisson, Colorado Avalanche draft Colin White, San Jose Sharks draft Jordan Eberle, Ottawa Senators draft Maverick Bourque, Buffalo Sabres draft Tyler Bertuzzi, Minnesota Wild draft Gustav Nyquist, Carolina Hurricanes draft Henry Hokuharju, and the Seattle Kraken draft Anders Lee. Teams will also get to draft from a pool of prospects that are combined with a prospect from every NHL team and prospects not picked in the 2021 draft. 2025 Prospect Draft. New York Rangers draft Drake Batherson, Arizona Coyotes draft Valtteri Latosara, Dallas Stars draft Igor Afanaseyev, San Jose Sharks draft Graham Sword, Montreal Canadiens draft Alex Chernak, Philadelphia Flyers draft Sean Behrens, Columbus Blue Jackets draft Otto Stenberg, Vegas Golden Knights draft Alex Graham, Boston Bruins draft Zach Stringer, Edmonton Oilers draft Artem Martino, Toronto Maple Leafs draft Dmitry Zaccarini, Pittsburgh Penguins draft Danil Azautin, Ottawa Senators draft Logan Mailloux, Buffalo Sabres draft Cole Huckins, Anaheim Ducks draft Matthias Laferriere, and the Seattle Kraken draft Evan Naus. Nashville Predators draft Connor Levis and Alexei Protes in the 2025 draft. San Jose Sharks draft Graham Sword and Antoine Morand in the 2025 draft. Chicago Blackhawks draft Charles Boutin, Dylan Duke, and Fabian Zetterlund in the 2025 draft. New Jersey Devils draft Yuri Verolainen and Daniil Butin in the 2025 draft. Washington Capitals draft Ludwig Anderson and Sebastian Costa in the 2025 draft. St. Louis Blues draft Zach Dean and Cole Schwindt in the 2025 draft. Vancouver Canucks draft Arthur Kaliyev and Tristan Lennox in the 2025 draft. Winnipeg Jets draft Noah Elredin and Jack O'Brien in the 2025 draft. After the draft, many trades are made. Anaheim Ducks trade Mike Hoffman and Timothy Liljegren to the Arizona Coyotes for Sasha Pastrujov, Devin Kaplan, and Cameron Karate. Boston Bruins trade JVR and Matt Roy to the Columbus Blue Jackets for a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027. Carolina Hurricanes trade Casey Mittelstadt, Henry Jokiharju, and a first-round pick in 2026 to the Philadelphia Flyers for John Marino and Jonathan Drouin. Carolina Hurricanes also trade Eric Brandstrom to the Minnesota Wild for a second-round pick in 2026. If the Wild make it to the conference finals, the Hurricanes also get a first-round pick in 2026. Chicago Blackhawks trade Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Jordan Greenway to the Calgary Flames for Jack Thompson, Barclay Goodrow, and a first-round pick in 2026. Chicago Blackhawks also trade Charlie Coyle, Charles Boutin, and Alec Regula to the Philadelphia Flyers for Maxime Comtois and Tyson Jost. Colorado Avalanche trade Patrick Kane to the New York Rangers for Luke Cunnin, Drake Batherson, and a first-round pick in 2026. Colorado Avalanche also trade Ryan Strome and a first-round pick in 2026 to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Jason Zucker and Emil Bedstrom. Dallas Stars trade Adrian Kempe, Isaac Rosen, and a second-round pick in 2026 to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Ryan McGregor and Patrick Hornquist. Florida Panthers trade Kevin Ball to the Dallas Stars for Matt Grzelcyk, a second-round pick in 2026, and a second-round pick in 2027. Detroit Red Wings trade Jeremy Roy and Radim Simic to the St. Louis Blues for a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027. If the Blues make it to the second round, the third-round pick in 2027 becomes a second-round pick. Montreal Canadiens trade Liam Dowler-Nelson, Dennis Cholowski, and a first-round pick in 2026 to the Minnesota Wild for Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Montreal Canadiens trade David Rittich and a second-round pick in 2026 to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Philip Grubauer. Nashville Predators trade Max Domi and Frank Petrano to the Calgary Flames for Ilya Mikheyev, a second-round pick in 2026 and a second-round pick in 2027. New Jersey Devils trade Thomas Hertl and Pavel Buchnevich to the Carolina Hurricanes for Morgan Geekie, Isaac Radcliffe, and a first-round pick in 2026. New York Rangers trade Nikolai Ehlers to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Daniel Lazautin and Isaac Rosen. New York Rangers also trade Jaden Schwartz and Dan DeKaiser to the Tampa Bay Lightning for Gabriel Velarde, Braden Tracy, and a first-round pick in 2026. New York Rangers trade Carl Hagelin to the Vegas Golden Knights for Chandler Stevenson and a third-round pick in 2027. Minnesota Wild acquire Chandler Stevenson from the New York Rangers for a fourth-round pick in 2027. Ottawa Senators trade Ben Bishop and Andreas Athanasiou to the Seattle Kraken for Semyon Varlamov, Blake Coleman, Adam Pelech, and a second-round pick in 2026. Ottawa Senators also trade Morgan Frost, Adam Larson, and Blake Coleman to the Winnipeg Jets for Victor Olofsson, Scott Mayfield, and Ryan Donato. Philadelphia Flyers trade Nicholas Backstrom and Charlie Coyle to the LA Kings for Alex DeBrincat, Hendrix Lapierre, and a first-round pick in 2026. Philadelphia Flyers trade John Gibson and Casey Mittelstadt to the Tampa Bay Lightning for Oscar Dostal, Liam Foudy, and a first-round pick in 2026. Pittsburgh Penguins trade Josh Bailey, Marcus Nudavara, and a second-round pick in 2027 to the Seattle Kraken for Damon Severson. Seattle Kraken acquire Brandon Carlo from the Winnipeg Jets for Ryan Donato, Scott Mayfield, and a second-round pick in 2027. Seattle Kraken also acquired John Marino and Lucas Reichel from the Carolina Hurricanes for Andreas Athanasiou and a first-round pick in 2026. San Jose Sharks trade Rasmus Ristolainen to the Toronto Maple Leafs for a second-round pick in 2026 and a second-round pick in 2027. If the Maple Leafs make the playoffs, the second-round pick in 2026 becomes a first-round pick. San Jose Sharks trade Joel Farabee and Jacob Trouba to the Vegas Golden Knights for James Malatesta and Noah Dobson. St. Louis Blues trade Brendan Dillon and a first-round pick in 2026 to the New York Rangers for Anthony Duclair and a third-round pick in 2026. St. Louis Blues also trade Zach Dean to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a first-round pick in 2026. Tampa Bay Lightning trade Jeff Petrie to the New York Islanders for a first-round pick in 2026. Vancouver Canucks trade Daniel Blader, Dennis Gurianov, and Nick Budin to the Florida Panthers for a first-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027. If the Panthers make the playoffs, the second-round pick becomes a first-round pick. Carolina Hurricanes trade Andreas Athanasiou and Pavel Buchnevich to the Vancouver Canucks for Zach Hyman and Troy Terry. Vancouver Canucks trade Kevin LeBanc and a first-round pick in 2026 to the Seattle Kraken for Brady Shea and Jonas Corposalo. Winnipeg Jets trade Robin Lehner and Alexei Heponiemi to the Seattle Kraken for a first-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2026. Arizona Coyotes trade Aiden Hill to the Detroit Red Wings for a fifth-round pick in 2026. Dallas Stars acquire Matisse Kavlenix from the Columbus Blue Jackets for a fourth-round pick in 2026. LA Kings acquire Connor Garland from the Seattle Kraken for a second-round pick in 2026 and a second-round pick in 2027. Minnesota Wild trade Yanni Gourde to the Winnipeg Jets for a fourth-round pick in 2026. New York Rangers trade Will Butcher to the Calgary Flames for a third-round pick in 2027. Philadelphia Flyers acquire Rasmus Andersson from the Calgary Flames for a third-round pick in 2026. Philadelphia Flyers trade Henry Jokiharju to the Ottawa Senators for a second-round pick in 2026. Seattle Kraken trade Alex Killorn to the Winnipeg Jets for a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2028. Washington Capitals trade Alex Tuch to the Ottawa Senators for a second-round pick in 2026 and a third-round pick in 2027. 2025 free agent signings. Arizona Coyotes signed Brandon Tanev, Colin Wilson, Jamie Vesey, and Eric Gustafsson, as well as Chris Drager. Boston Bruins signed Jacob Silfverberg, Jet Wu, and Jack Campbell. Carolina Hurricanes signed Travis Hamonic, Craig Smith, Troy Stetcher, Matt Calvert, and Malcolm Subban. Chicago Blackhawks signed Cam Talbot, Marcos Scandella, and Riley Nash. Columbus Blue Jackets signed Alex Galchenyuk and Trent Frederick. Colorado Avalanche signed Tony DeAngelo, Joel Edmondson, and Samuel Montembeault. Dallas Stars signed Cam Atkinson, Mikael Backlund, Nolan Patrick, and Phoenix Copley. Detroit Red Wings signed Hendrik Borgstrom, Mario Ferraro, Jacob Zaborov, and Frederick Gauthier. LA Kings signed David Perron, Danton Heinen, and Ben Sherratt. Nashville Predators signed Tyler Myers, Andrew Mangiapane, and Charlie Lindgren. New Jersey Devils signed Marcus Sorensen and Colton Sissons. New York Rangers signed Vince Dunn and Derek Ryan. Philadelphia Flyers signed Linus Ullmark, Max Jones, and Pierre Engvall. Pittsburgh Penguins signed Nick Bonino and Laurent Brossoit. Ottawa Senators signed Connor Murphy and Oscar Sundqvist. San Jose Sharks signed James Reimer and Dominic Cahoon, as well as Brett Kulak. Seattle Kraken signed JT Compher, Adrian Kempe, Michael Kebney, and Ryan Dzingel. Toronto Maple Leafs signed Devin Dubnyk and Ryan Hartman, as well as Jesper Boqvist. Vegas Golden Knights signed Zach Kassian and Garnet Hathaway. Washington Capitals signed Michael Grabner and Jack Roslovic. Anaheim Ducks signed Mikael Granlund. Buffalo Sabres signed Pascal Francouz. Edmonton Oilers signed Vladislav Gabrikov. Minnesota Wild signed Alec Martinez. Montreal Canadiens signed Justin Braun. Seattle Kraken signed Dan DeKaiser. And the Vancouver Canucks signed Justin Schultz. All players not on this list of free agents are re-signed by their current teams. All RFAs are re-signed by their current teams. In the final episode of this NHL Scramble mini-series, I simulate the 2025-26 season and wrap up the series.